It's ironic, isn't it? All this magnificent technology, we still find ourselves susceptible to the ravages of old age. Loss of dignity. The slow betrayal of our bodies by forces we cannot master.
Hello and good evening. Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 3, Episode 23, Sarek, first aired back in 1990. But here in 2026 on Live Long and Podcast, we're just getting started. Whether you're joining us live on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, or catching the audio version wherever you get your podcasts, our mission to rewatch every episode of TNG continues, one diplomatic crisis, one emotional outburst, and one legendary Vulcan at a time. And this is your captain speaking. I am your host, Dave Mader, joined with a great panel once again. Coming in first, stylish, sharp, and tuned into the emotional core, and coming off of a trip to the Rock. She's watching every crack in Sarek's composure, every moment when logic falters, and every ripple of misplaced anger across the crew. When empathy meets tragedy, she's our goddess of empathy. It is Heather Narduzzi.
Hello all, peace and long life. I too often am moved to tears by music. Looking forward to talking about this episode.
Yes, a single tear, though, as the Vulcans will do. Coming in next, he's cracking the power, or not cracking, tracking the power dynamics. Sarek versus his illness. Logic versus emotion. And the heartbreaking struggle between duty and decline. When this episode is asked, what does it mean to lead while losing control? He's locked in. It's Adam Woodward.
I am locked in. This episode doesn't disappoint at all. Really doesn't.
Yeah. Thank you, Adam. Yes, you got to. Yes, Heather was in your neck of the woods, or back in her hometown, if you will.
Why yeah, Sam, we're going to the prom. Let's go.
Congratulations.
He's going for The Bachelor. That's what he's doing. Yes. All right. And of course, rounding out our panel here for the evening, as I need to find his little blurb, he's studying the shadows behind the diplomacy, the psychological strain of Bendii syndrome, the emotional contagion sweeping the ship, and the devastating truth that even legends can break. Our intelligence officer, Justin Velociraptor.
Good evening, everybody. Glad to be here. Love this episode. Fine Patrick Stewart performance.
And Mark Leonard.
And Mark Leonard, the legendary Mark Leonard. Looking forward to digging into this one with you.
Well, yes, welcome, Justin. We are, of course, we're talking about Sarek, the 71st episode of Star Trek The Next Generation that aired on May 14th, 1990. The teleplay by Peter S. Beagle, with a story by Peter S. Beagle from an unpublished story by Mark Cushman and Jake Jacobs, and was directed by Les Landau. Sarek, the father of Spock and a highly regarded but elderly ambassador, is ferried by the Enterprise on his final mission for the Federation, but while he's on board the ship, the crew experiences an outbreak of irrational anger amongst themselves. It is then revealed that Sarek has Bendii syndrome, which has been telepathically causing the problems among the crew, and it's only resolved after the Vulcan mind melds with Captain Picard, basically. And then it's all over.
Peter S. Beagle. I didn't even catch that is who wrote this episode. Do you know what else Peter S. Beagle wrote? The Last Unicorn. Do we know The Last Unicorn, which also has another Star Trek connection? Renee Auberjonois, who played Odo, did one of the voices in The Last Unicorn. So it looks like only Justin and I know that It's a wonderful animated film. Do you know it too, Dave?
No, I'm not familiar. I was just.
It's so good. It came out in, I want to say, like 82 or 83, based on a Peter S. Beagle novel. I think he may have written the screenplay as well. It's just beautiful animation and a lovely story, and also gave me nightmares when I was little because I was afraid of the Red Bull. I'm sure you were too, Justin. Scary.
Yes. Almost as much as I was afraid of Tim Curry
Mama-
in Legend.
Of what?
Tim Curry in Legend.
Oh, yeah, that was scary too.
That one.
And Mommy Fortuna was really scary in The Last Unicorn.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have the graphic novel too. It's
nice. I've never seen that.
Cool.
Last Unicorn, first published in 1968.
Yes, the novel.
Right.
1968.
And when did the movie come out? Do you have that?
I don't have that.
Okay. It was definitely early 80s, but it's a wonderful film, and I think he wrote
82.
a lot of
82 was the film.
Author. So that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yep, I remember renting that from the library.
Oh, nice. On Betamax?
Probably.
Well, so yeah, I wasn't familiar with Peter S. Beagle. I never really thought about that name because I don't think he wrote any other Star Trek episodes that I can recall. But this one is I like this episode, even though you can say it's an episode that nothing happens, and that's kind of true. Well, there's a fist fight. I guess that's the most happening thing that really occurs.
Sam's showing his age here. What's Betamax?
Okay, like I'm too young to remember Betamax, really. So, like, I know what it is, but I never had it. You know.
No, I didn't have it either because I am very young. What?
I can tell you a funny story about this. So my mom and my dad had an argument about which to get, Beta or VHS, and
they went with Beta.
Who was on what side?
Beta was like the smaller tape and the cooler, but it didn't win, and my mom chose VHS.
Your mom was Team VHS, and she prevailed.
Do you know the reason that VHS prevailed over Betamax?
No, why?
The pornography industry decided to go with VHS as their preferred format, and everyone else followed, if my history is correct.
Understandably. Justin with the sexy fun facts tonight.
Sexy fun facts. Yes, indeed. And anyway, so this is 1990, by the way. So this this episode, it comes out before Undiscovered Country, right? Which Mark Leonard is also in as Sarek, but a much younger version of that character. So, this is not. Well, I guess the final performance of Mark Leonard as Sarek will come in Unification. Is that next season or the season after that we're going to get
season 5 or 6?
I think 5.
5. So it's not for a whole other season. We're going to get to that. And the film, The Undiscovered Country, which is the last last original series adventure, basically with the original cast. So I don't know. Like I always I loved Mark Leonard. Heather, I know you were busy last week, so no shame. But did you get a chance to watch Journey to Babel?
I did. I did watch it. The costuming is amazing, as it always is in Star Trek, but it was a really great story, and it's the introduction of Spock's parents and the deep dive into the human Vulcan dichotomy.
And I guess giving Spock more of that backstory. We get to meet his parents, and I think those are the only of main Star Trek characters. There's not many we get to meet their parents. There's a few exceptions, but mostly we don't. And Spock, we get a lot more into his family, and Sarek being this very notable Vulcan, who will not just be played by Mark Leonard, but will also be played by that Cross guy on Discovery, and the different versions, and a character I always loved a lot. But Adam, what is your thoughts on this episode? How do you feel about it?
See, you went off the bat and said not a lot happens. I didn't remember that. I thought that we already knew that Patrick Stewart delivered a great performance, but this was for me the episode that he delivered, man. And this is an emotional episode. I think that as we all get older, you have to consider that point you played off the top on, no matter what technology we all have, we all start to fail. And as I'm hitting in my mid 50s now, my God, you definitely see things happening. You got to be on top of it. But it is, this is one of my top 10 as I reconsider it. This is, to me, just a fantastic episode. Great storytelling, great delivery of the acting. And I think Mark Leonard nailed it as well.
Yeah. Well, I agree with all of that. How about you, Justin? What's this one for you?
I love this episode for mainly like Patrick Stewart's. We'll get to the scene, but it's an amazing performance. A tour de force, one might say, by a classically trained actor. But I will say that without, like, originally Gene Roddenberry wanted to make it just a random Vulcan because he was very leery at this point in the series of still tying it back to the original series a whole lot, which is why they mention a son's wedding and like a son that he cares about, but Spock's name is not actually uttered in the episode.
Maybe it was Cybok's wedding.
Could have been Cybok's wedding. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe
Michael Burnham.
Strange New Worlds will introduce yet another brother.
Who knows? Michael Burnham had already time traveled by that point, so she couldn't be there.
But no, I love this episode. But I think if it had gone the original way that they had wanted, it didn't have that Sarek hit to it. I think the only redeeming quality would have been that scene with Patrick Stewart. But because they do bring Sarek back into it, and it is so many callbacks to his other appearances, it really elevates this episode for me.
I didn't realize that Roddenberry didn't want to have the Vulcan be Sarek, and I totally agree with you. This would not have the emotional gravitas that it does if it was just some guy,
What I think to that point is that we had very little consistency between the original series and Next Gen to this point. And this was the first time they really crossed over, and I think, again, delivery was amazing, and choosing this character to do it with and this storyline was necessary. And I love that you watched Journey to Babel, because that is a tie-in to this. Like, that, you don't even need to watch Star Trek, but you should watch that to watch this.
Well, there's Journey to Babel, and then there's also like how Sarek and Amanda, for that matter, like they Sarek more so in Star Trek. Does he actually appear in Star Trek 2, or is it only not until Star Trek 3 and Search for Spock that Mark Leonard?
Search for Spock, he comes in.
And then he's also there in Star Trek 4 when he's like, "Tell my mother I feel fine," and all of that. All that had already happened, right? And as I mentioned, Undiscovered Country hasn't come along yet at this point. But I guess I get why they were afraid to try to tie back to original series too often. That would have been too easy of a crutch, trying to make their own mark and establish their own identity as their show. But you could say that this is maybe the second time that they're dipping their toe, because in the original pilot, Encounter at Farpoint, we do get Leonard McCoy make a brief cameo, but it's not the same as this. But like this episode, then we're gonna give. I already mentioned the Spock crossover, the unification two-parter.
But again, the way that was done, it was not done. It was done with like thought, and the story was great, and it was done so well. I love it.
Right. The also thing about Relics, when they bring in James Doohan as Montgomery Scott.
I love that episode. That's so good.
I think those are all the examples.
This brings us to Sam's discussion point. He says, "Do you think the return of Sarek would be as big today as it was back then? Now that we have message boards, leaks, etc." I definitely think people would have gotten spoiled on it in advance, myself included, because I often am not like on the ball with watching the new episodes right away. And I've gotten spoiled on so many big reveals in the new era of Trek. But I think people must have been gagged to see Sarek in, like, fans of original Trek, to see him appear in the Next Gen. at the time, and I think it would have a great impact today as well.
Well, maybe it's hard for me to say either way because it depends how secret it was at the time. Like I mentioned, he had just been in Star Trek 4 like a couple of years before this, so I don't think it was like wild to see them bring him back.
But it was though, because with 3 seasons now, we haven't seen any. Well, McCoy, but we haven't
other than McCoy and the pilot. Yeah.
And what this also tells us is that this is Sarek standing alone, no Spock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it still worked.
It still works.
It
now,
did, yeah.
I don't think today, if he showed up on Strange New Worlds or worse, Academy,
we'd be really impressed because he's been dead for like something like decades.
Even if they CGI'd him or something, nobody would know. The real viewers wouldn't get it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But what about like when Relics aired? I know, Adam, you watched this in its original airing. When Relics aired, were you like super surprised and excited?
No, because they had pumped it. It was like Scotty's coming back. We didn't know anything what was going to happen.
Yeah, but they were like they used to do like these trailers for the episodes, right? Like every week, like next week on Star Trek: The Next Generation, Scotty's coming or Sarek's coming, right?
Franklin deserved better. That's all I know.
You would only know for about a week or the week leading up to the episode if you were, maybe you could try to avoid that stuff, but
yeah, but we didn't know too much. I mean, you're right. It was the next week on Next Generation, and then you get a little bit 30-second, not even clip.
It was the 80s. We didn't know.
If you collected those Starlog magazines, I got a few of them here in the background. Maybe you would have known then too, because they tended to like put stories out like that, like, oh, so and so is going to be on the set this year, or. But you'd have to really be paying attention, I guess.
But again, even Relics, I mean, that was probably the goofiest one, and that was good too. Like it was.
Do you think it was goofy? I love that episode. It's so.
Well, you know what? It's not goofy because they deal with, again, age and trying to fit in, and what's your place, and like great episode.
But I remember saying to my dad, I'm like, oh, you got to see like the Next Gen episode when like Scotty comes in. He's like, I don't like seeing when my heroes have grown old. And
there's that too.
But he was the oldest of the gang. I mean,
he is the oldest of the gang. He was already the older man back in original series, right? When he comes to visit his son, who's by that point a grown man and second in command of the Enterprise. Anyway, let's jump into the episode if we're good, and run through everything we saw in our screenshots. Starting off here, we start off at Vulcan, getting a close up of the Enterprise. We get the stylish dress uniforms.
Love it.
I like these dress uniforms. I'm going to say it.
Yeah,
so
I do too.
I do too, but you really see like the physique of both of them very well there. Like,
Yeah, that's why it's good.
Well, Riker's is pretty straight.
Right.
Well, they look like a slightly different color to me in this shot. That might be just lighting or whatever, but it does look like Patrick Stewart's is nipped in at the waist a little more and Riker's straight up and down. Now, is that their physique or is that tailoring?
This is the girdle era for Riker.
Yeah, Riker's starting to put
wearing a girdle.
Well, he's wearing like the Spanx, so
Shatner did. Frakes didn't.
Yes, he sure did.
He sure did. They said by the end of the series, the only one who wasn't wearing it was Brent Spiner. So they were all wearing some version of that by the end.
Well, I mean, one to go.
Pardon?
He was the first to go. Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah, Sam says, I got a dip. My rating is a 9. Thank you, Sam. We'll see you next time. Thanks.
See you next time, Sam.
Take care, Sam.
This is another shot of the dress uniforms, but yeah, I like them. I don't know. I'm always confused.
I love the little sparkle detail too.
Oh yeah, I like all that too. Of course. So they're talking about the legend of Sarek. This is where they mention that Picard had once met him at his son's wedding. I guess to Justin's point that they just left this in the script because it was originally just some generic Vulcan ambassador before they decided it was going to be Mark Leonard Sarek, and they just left it in. Of course, I guess it's a little Easter egg for the fans. And then we get the beam in of the aides in the transporter room. O'Brien does make an appearance in this episode, And we also have, I don't know, just a bunch of red shirts who are like here to be like, I guess, the honor guard for like the ceremony, but they're not wearing dress uniforms. Not very dressy. Anyway, so the aides come along and they're like, well, before Sarek and his wife beam up, we got some business to talk about. You're not to be bugging him. You're going to give him his space. He's got a lot going on, and we're doing these negotiations with these aliens. What are they called? Like they say it a million times in this episode.
Lagarans.
The Lagarans. He's been working on this thing, this peace treaty for 80 years. You know, he's an old guy. You give him his space, right? These are his handlers, basically. One of them's a human, which I always think is interesting. So he's got a human on his
his name, but the other guy's name is Saketh.
Saketh, yeah, the Vulcan. Anyway, so
go back. The guy on the right played the baddies campaign advisor in Black Sheep with Chris Farley and David Spade.
There you go. William Dennis is his name, who plays Keeb and Drosen.
Oh my, that's quite a moniker.
Quite the moniker. Anyway, so they're like, okay, sure, whatever you say. And now they're like, oh, we have a concert for him, and they're like, no concert, you know, and they're like, fine. It would be impossible, right? So anyway, they beam him up. I love how Sarek comes in here on the beam in with the hood up, looking sideways. It's such a choice. And then, you know, he does the whole take the hood off, you know, kind of like Spock in the end of Search for Spock. You know,
I love their outfits. The giant statement piece necklace on Perrin and the matching headdress, her elaborate hair, the draping of the robes on Sarek. Like they both look so regal and majestic. They really knocked it out of the park with these costumes, I feel.
He looks like a Roman senator.
Very totally.
Stately.
Yeah.
Very stately. Of course, we are meeting Sarek's new wife, because last time we see Sarek, which again was Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, you know, but that was set in like the 2280s. So some like 70 years before these events. So Spock's mother has presumably passed on, and Sarek got remarried to a much younger woman, presumably here. So Perrin is her name, another human. This also came in Captain Picard's dialogue at the beginning, who's like his first wife was also from Vulcan. But actually, Amanda was his second wife. The mother of Sybok, the Vulcan princess, was the first.
Oh, yeah.
So this is wife number 3. Anyway, so who plays Perrin?
Joanna Miles.
Joanna Miles. She's very good. You know,
yeah, she's great.
This role they wrote her. You know, she has to come in here and be this new character for the fans to accept.
Alpha Legionnaire says no, Sybok was an affair. Ooh, love child.
Okay, gonna check this out. Dave, I'll check
Fun
it.
Facts. That might be right.
I think it is right.
A Vulcan princess love child.
Scandal.
Yes. Anyway, so then Sarek wants to see the conference room right away, and their aides are like, maybe you should rest. And he's like, how about you go to hell? And in a Vulcan room. And I will see the room. So they're like, okay, come right this way. And they kind of leave the transporter room. And like the end of like the teaser basically is Picard just looking at O'Brien, and then basically breaks the fourth wall, looks at the camera and goes, oh boy, I'm in for it. This, you know? And that's our cold open for the episode. Anyway, boom. The Next Generation. We come after the credits. We get our title card. Sarek. We're looking at this, what they call a big vat of slime. We'll later be told that this the temperature of this water or whatever the slime is like 150 Celsius. So it would basically burn your skin off right away if you tried to touch it. But this is what the Lagarans like to, I don't know, sit in or, you know, whatever when they're negotiating here. So we never get to see the Lagarans. I think that's like the big tragedy of this episode, is I would have loved to see these like imaginative aliens going around here. But the other part that we get in this little scene before Picard and Sarek and all them show up is Wesley and Geordi talking about Wesley's big date.
I have a date.
A date? With who?
Ensign Dumont?
Really? She's very attractive. I gotta admit, Wes, though, I'm a bit surprised.
What, that you'd go out with me?
No, that you'd actually have the nerve to ask her.
Well, you know Jordy wouldn't.
Oh yeah, and Wesley will remind him of this later on. He's like, "How about you just go with that nice book there, Geordi, and meet some women on the holodeck? I'm meeting real women out here." I don't know. That's
Yeah. This whole bit, this is weird to me because Geordi and Wesley are not peers.
right.
Geordi is like 20 years older than Wesley.
At least 10 years older. And yes, he's a fair bit.
I don't know. He's much older than Wesley, and I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
I guess, but of course they're influenced by Sarek, so I'll let it.
Maybe you can track this up to Bendii syndrome or
Xanthe fever.
Yeah, exactly. So coming through. Anyway, so Sarek comes into the room and he's like, "This room sucks. No furniture. The lights are too bright. Get this. No decorations on the wall. I don't think we ever see this room again that I can remember on the Enterprise. But Sarek's very grumpy. He's a very grumpy Vulcan through all this. And Picard's like, "Don't worry about it. We're totally going to get this ready by the time we get to the conference." And then
It all comes together at the end.
we see Sarek kind of like getting really up.
Oh,
Wow.
Dave?
This happens frequently now with Dave. We've
Dave's
lost
not
it.
here, man.
Dave's
I know.
not here, man. I'm
These are
afraid
the
I
Daves
can't
that
do
we
that,
knew.
Dave.
There he is.
Mike, can you see me?
I can see your name.
Oh.
Stargazer Fish says, "Now you did it. You ran him off."
Okay, what's wrong with me?
Dave has Bendii syndrome.
I mean, yeah, Xanthe fever.
He's
Hold on.
freaking out.
I'll refresh again. 1 sec.
Sarek spread his senility to the stream, says Alpha Legionnaire. Bing bong. Okay, well, he's back.
There we go.
Sorry. This has been happening to me lately. I just all of a
I
sudden.
know. I've noticed.
Yeah.
Every
I don't
time
know why.
you
Anyway, Sarek was.
Adam's giving him the gears.
I just want to keep Adam on his toes. See what he take over emergency hosting.
I'd love.
duties.
I don't have any power. I can't.
Yeah. Anyway, Sarek gets kind of agitated here, and we see his Vulcan aide, Sakath, is like doing some telepathic Vulcan, mumbo jumbo here, and calms him down. And then Sarek says like, and the walls are too bright as he leaves. Anyway, so there's that. Picard and Riker, some looks there as they're heading out. And the Enterprise departs Vulcan. Then on the bridge, so Picard's in like the captain's chair, and Riker's there, and Troy's now there. Worf's kind of listening, and they're talking about just everything that Sarek's done. He's pretty spry for a man of 202 years old. Although he's technically not that elderly as a Vulcan. Vulcans lived up to 300 years, I believe. So he's kind of in his silver years. Anyway, they're like, well, I wish he would come to the conference tonight. And then it's Troy who suggests, well, why don't you invite his wife?
What an excellent idea!
What an excellent idea, you had there. I know I put that.
That's an excellent idea, Counselor.
Right, and then Riker's like
he's surprised that she's
like,
making a suggestion.
Yeah, he looks borderline jealous, proud, surprised all at once. That Troy had the suggestion, invite the wife, and Troy's like, yes, one for counseling. Anyway, so then Picard does go to visit Perrin, who says, my husband's meditating. But he's like, I'm here to see you. And she's like, oh, I don't get many visitors. Everything's about Sarek and his big important work. They have a nice little conversation.
This is almost like a flirty scene.
Almost, yeah. But just
She's a handsome woman.
Handsome woman.
Listen, the white thing on her head and like the triangle haircut is not doing her any favors.
There it is. I said the same thing. I did get weird vibes between her and Picard.
Weird vibes like how? What do you mean?
Like they were
Look at the way
flirting.
he's
It was a little
smiling at her.
flirtatious.
Oh yeah.
You think?
He was
Oh.
quite smitten. Look at
Oh, yeah.
that.
No, you know what? You're right.
I know.
Look at him.
I
He
didn't
is
see it.
making eyes at her.
I didn't watch this episode, like, honestly, probably for a couple of years. And I didn't see it this morning or tonight. So I'm going from memory, and it still hits me.
Well, maybe this will all come out in the mind meld. Maybe after the mind meld's over, Sarah be like, how about you stop flirting with my wife?
Or he'd be like, so three-way?
Could be.
Tell me,
Ponfar is
Hey,
coming.
just take over, Picard. I can't do it
Yes.
anymore.
Tell me, Picard, do you know of the Horgon?
I've been asked when to buy one for you by Riker.
Alpha Legionnaire says Picard letting his inner French romantic out, and Stargazer said, I choose to think it was mutual respect.
That's probably actually the way he was trying to play it, but
Mutual
see-
respect, like, let's get naked.
that's respectful, isn't it? So
Respectfully.
anyway, we see that Sarek in his quarters is struggling to meditate. Perrin comes to visit him
You can
and
feel all
says,
this passion in the next room.
yes. Yeah. He's like, that was a pretty steamy scene you just had there. I don't know if he was listening. Those Vulcan ears would give him better hearing. So maybe he did hear the conversation.
And he's like, look, I have my sexy robes on.
Yes. This is my less regal looking. Well, it's still pretty regal looking. Always with like,
Give him the Horgon.
did you get that Horgon?
I
Always
love
with-
these robes. I really like these. I like the pattern. I like the
Vulcan writing on there.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so I guess they're deciding they're going to go to the concert later on. Then we get this whole blow up here. This is the first incident of outburst anger and doesn't get violent, but it nearly gets there when they're talking about that date.
Can I get out of here now?
What's your hurry? You don't really think anything's gonna happen with Suzanne Dumont, do you?
At least I'm not spending the night with a good book like some people.
What's that supposed to mean?
Just what it sounds like.
Let me tell you something. You'd get more action out of a good book than you'll ever see on this date, I'll guarantee it. She's not gonna waste her time on someone like you.
Someone like me?
She's way out of your league.
Since when did you become an expert on women?
Compared to you, every male on this ship is an expert on women.
Well, at least I don't have to find my women on the holodeck.
What things say?
Boom!
Just whap.
This is how I have to find my women on the holodeck.
Now,
Yeah. So, and then Riker walks in awkwardly. Says, "Everything all right, guys?" And they're like, "Yeah, totally cool." And even then, Geordi doesn't want to.
Are we talking about holodeck conquests, boys?
y'all ever see Minuet?
That's true. He did fall in love with a very smart hologram on the holodeck. Anyway, but Geordi doesn't want to talk about it, and Riker is just kind of like, "That's weird." Then we get to the concert scene. I thought it was also interesting that O'Brien's in this episode, but they don't put him in like the string quartet here. But
I just
anyway,
find it weird that when they're playing, like the quartet doesn't change out of uniform.
right? They don't put on.
I thought about that too
Yeah.
when I was watching this episode. Why
not
would they
amazing.
be performing
good.
in uniform?
I guess just to remind us that they're Starfleet officers. But I would be fine if they weren't in them. Anyway, so they're getting ready for they're not expecting Sarek to show up, but then Sarek does arrive with his staff. In a full
Number one.
move over, shove a bum, number one, and we're going to give Sarek a spot here. So they're here to. Then Data says, "I'm going to play the violin in like all these different styles. I can do all the best. So just tell me which one you want." He lists off 4 of them, and Perrin picks a particular one. I'm not like I'm not up on Beethoven or classical music enough to know exactly what they were referencing, but sounded credible. Anyway, so then Data gets into it. He starts playing the violin along with these other people, and there's a bit of a transition. We get the idea that some time passes here as they're going through the different songs. And it seems like Sarek and Perrin are enjoying the concert, but then we see that Sarek is starting to struggle more. Data's even doing a little conducting here with his little whatever the hell that thing's called. So I think he's the bow on the violin. Anyway, so Data, I guess, was doing some really good violining here, and Sarek starts to lose his emotional control, and his Vulcan friend over in the corner, I guess, can detect it. He starts sending telepathic Vulcan signals at Sarek. Troy is able to pick up on this to a certain degree.
It's like the way she's reacting is like she knows something's going on, but she's surprised by it and maybe
not completely
where it's coming from or not completely convinced of it,
Yes, like it's not like she's hearing it like her mother talk in her head, but she has some kind of a feeling. And she's observing it here, and then we see the Vulcan aide talk to the human aide. While we see Sarek slowly losing it. A tear starts to emerge. A single tear down his face here, which is wiped off by his wife. And then they choose to leave the concert, and Picard will later say, "I couldn't believe it! A Vulcan moved to tears by music? How could this happen?" But they leave, and everyone's kind of left wondering, what the hell was that? You don't hear a buzz?
Yes.
Okay, it's gone.
Done.
Anyway, then Dr. Crusher has summoned Wesley Crusher to sickbay to talk to her, because she's like, "Where were you last night? You said you were going to be at that concert." And he was like, "Well, I was on the date, but we decided to go to the Arboretum." And then she gets very upset with Wesley. "Don't you talk back to me."
Don't talk back to me.
"Okay, I won't." And then he says he's going to get away from her. And before you know it, she's slapping him across the face. Boom. And then immediately transitions to Counselor Troy's office, where she's like recounting the story to Counselor Troy and saying, I just hit him. And I don't know why I hit him. I've never hit him in his life. And she's like, why? I don't know why I did it. I felt this incredible anger. And then Counselor Troy reveals, "I've been hearing stories like this all day long. Everyone on the ship is acting like this." So,
do you know what I thought about during this scene, the episode where Troy was being influenced by Buddy's emotions, and she was doing a counseling session, and she was like, "Well, maybe your problems are small and you're a little bitch and you should stop crying."
Therapy. So very good, very good. Anyway, so I guess that, it wasn't just Beverly maybe being having this outburst of anger. There could be something bigger happening here. We saw, of course, with the Wesley and Geordi fight earlier. There's this other scene here with Data and Saketh, the Vulcan aide of Sarek, on the bridge, where Saketh is grilling Data, not just on it's kind of under the guise of a tour. Data's giving him a tour of the bridge, I guess. And he was like, "Well, tell me about Captain Picard. What's his diplomatic experience? Tell me about Counselor Troy. What's her experience? And what's her telepathic abilities?" And it's kind of a fact-finding mission here. And even Data, who's more than happy to give out information, it's kind of like, "But why are you asking that? And why is this these questions are a little weird, even for you." But Saketh is a little elusive, if you will, for a Vulcan. And Data's kind of like, "That was friggin' weird. And I'm an android. And I don't find most of these things weird." Maybe my favorite scene coming up outside of the others, like I guess the emotional ones. In 10 forward, don't sit where Miles O'Brien and his group want to sit. What I especially like about this fight that breaks out here in 10 forward is it seems to be the yellow shirts against the blue shirts.
Yeah.
It seems to what precipitates this. The
It's
blue
the
shirts,
Irish guy who starts it.
yeah, along with, he was like, "Well, we're sitting here now." And Miles is saying,
Didn't your mother teach you manners?
"Didn't your mother teach you any manners?" And
then Science Guy is like, "Are you bringing my mother into this, Union Man?"
Yeah, he was a union man.
He was a union man.
Exactly. But Jordy's like, "Come, guys, come on. We don't need to be getting all upset. There's plenty of tables around here, right? Right. This can be easily diffused."
Easily.
It had been mentioned earlier too that Worf wanted to report one of his people for insubordination. So this is what Riker and Worf are then talking about as they're heading to 10 forward. And he's like, "Insubordination's a pretty serious charge, Worf." And he's like, "Well, he did it, so you better charge him. He questioned my authority." And he's like, Riker says, "Have you noticed, or has everyone been on edge?" I guess a great line here from Worf. He's like, "I hadn't noticed anything. I think this is just I think this is normal.
This is what it feels like in my head all the time."
Exactly. But I love how they walk in here and everyone is just fist fighting everywhere. It's just complete chaos. Brian and that guy, but it's hard to get these screenshots. But like they're breaking tables, they're flipping people over. Worf and Riker try to break things up, but it's pandemonium in there. Geordi get attacked from two sides, and Riker's like, "What the hell's going on?" And Geordi, the way Geordi LeVar Burton says this, he's like, "I wish I knew. I can't tell you what the hell's going on."
I can just hear Jeff in my head saying it.
Yeah. And then Riker gets like smashed in the face here by this guy. It's like, it was kind of a rough one. And Worf's busting heads like a cartoon character. And then there's this transition to later on. They've turned the lights on.
The lights are on now. It's like,
the lights are on now. Like, turn the lights on. This is no longer a club. It's
funny.
Yeah. Jordy's like, "Next thing I knew, left hook in my face." Whatever else. But Crusher and
please don't let the ambassador see what's going on here.
Yeah. We rarely see 10 forward in this lighting, by the way. Look at the bar. Look how different it looks.
Oh, you're right.
It's like
closing
dark
time.
Yeah, closing time.
Yeah, usually I try to avoid being in bars that when they turn the lights on.
Yes.
Well, I make it a point. Anyway, so they're saying like this is happening all on the ship: violence, insubordination, all kinds of problems like this. This conversation then transitions over to sick bay, where they're saying that there's this condition. Because they kind of tied in with the arrival of Sarek and his group is when this all started happening, and there's like this condition, Bendii syndrome, which Dr. Crusher explains.
There's a very rare condition that sometimes affects Vulcans over the age of 200, Bendii syndrome. Its early symptoms include sudden bursts of emotion, mostly irrational anger. Eventually, all emotional control is lost.
I can imagine nothing that would be more offensive to a Vulcan. Their emotional detachment is the very core of their being.
Right. And this being definitely like an allegory for Alzheimer's disease and other kinds of dementia that the elderly suffer. But giving this like I guess a Vulcan sci-fi twist to it, but easy to kind of just losing what it is that makes you, I guess, in a lot of ways. And and Troy, reminding us that Vulcans not only do they have emotions, but they have very strong ones.
Vulcans do have the same basic emotions we do. They've just learned to repress them.
Yeah, so there's all this going on, but they have no proof of this. The test takes like days in order to verify. So Captain Picard's in an awkward spot. He tries to talk to Mr. Human guy here, the aide, Kai Mendrosin. But he's like, "Don't you be slandering Ambassador Sarek. You better watch your career there, Picard, because this is not all right." Now, I couldn't help watch this scene today. I don't know if you're familiar in the United States. There have been a few elected officials, Dianne Feinstein being a more recent example of a senator who was kept in office way past their point of cognitive. I guess Joe Biden. There are examples of this, right? And where staff, people who are around those people, protect them from any kind of scrutiny that they maybe deserve here, because for Sarek to be a representative of the Federation at this conference, he has to have his wits about him. He has to be able to do this, but this guy's like low key intimidating Picard not to make any accusations he can't prove, basically. But Picard's mostly concerned with the mission and what's happening to his crew. But Mandrosin doesn't care. Mandrosin kind of blows him off and says, "No, you're going to keep your stupid opinions to yourself," and kind of blows Picard off. So then Picard calls Data, and Data's like, "I know what to do. I'll send Data, the Vulcan guy, and he'll get some answers." And that's what happens here. Data talks to Sakath, and Data's like, "Android to Vulcan. We speak this logical language. Come on, let's get to it." And Sakath doesn't. He's like, "I'm still a Vulcan. I'm still, even though Vulcans don't lie, so they say, but they do if they're honor bound or they have some kind of duty." And that's basically what Sakath says here. But Data is able to kind of get at his logic and say, is it logical to sabotage the entire mission for one guy and everything else? And so Sakath eventually, he breaks, he comes clean, and he tells Data the truth. Which then Data relays here on the bridge to Picard and Riker, explaining it all and how Picard is going to have to, do something about it. This is where the fight with Riker and Picard breaks out. What's this comment? The biggest Vulcan lies ever told was that they could never lie. That's true. It's like the greatest trick the devil ever did was convince the world he didn't exist. It's kind of the same thing. Anyway, and he's like, somebody's got to tell Sarek the truth. And Picard says, they get into it here. He's like, you need to do it.
Don't you tell me what to do!
Don't you tell me what to do! He's like, Sarek doesn't know what he's doing.
I know that.
I know that. I don't know. They're affected. Everyone's like, hey, chill. But I don't think Riker ever chills out here, for the record. Picard goes, yes, Mr. Data, you're right. I'm going to go talk to Sarek right now. But then the way Riker looks at Picard, he goes, what's his problem? Or Riker looks at Data, sorry. Riker is like, what's Picard's problem? Come on.
He's not catching it. He knows what's going on.
He's still in like the daze. He didn't snap out of it as fast as Picard did.
Yeah. Riker
anyway.
just being the great first officer that he is.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, number one. Anyway, so then Picard goes to talk to Perrin, the wife of Sarek, who, she's like, she kind of knows this is true. She kind of knows, she hasn't been able to face the truth of it, but she's kind of in this denial phase. You can't do this to him. You can't do this to this is his legacy. It's one final great crowning achievement before he retires. But Sarek comes in with his aides and says, no, I heard everything. And what do you guys want to talk about? I got nothing to hide. I got no Bendii syndrome, Picard. I'll take the test if you want. And they're saying, well, that's not going to take long enough. But your buddy Sakath there, he's helping you with the telepathic abilities. And he's like, what? What are you doing, Sakath? He's like, I have been using it. And we see Mark Leonard, Sarek. He gets very upset. He gets very angry here, but still kind of controlled, still in this Vulcan kind of controlled thing. He's like, your services are not useful. He's like, but would it be wise? Would it be wise for you to reject my help? And he goes, well, maybe not. So there's still that bit of Sarek, like everything of who Sarek has always been his adult life is still there, but it's like the I guess the ebbs and flows that come with his cognitive sort of realization of what's happening around him, how much emotional control he has. Anyway, so he asks everyone Picard to leave while they have this conversation, and basically, Sarek's like, I'm gonna convince Picard with logic that I'm fine, but Picard says, well, would Sarek of Vulcan do this, or would Sarek of Vulcan have this opinion? And it's easy to kind of get Sarek going here,
There are no other logical solutions.
No other logical solutions? But, Ambassador, there are always other solutions. You have said so yourself many times.
What I meant was that
Sarek of Vulcan would never be afraid of looking straight at something he did not want to see.
I warn you, your efforts to discredit me will not succeed.
Sarek of Vulcan never confused what he wanted with the truth.
I will not be spoken to in this manner.
I hear anger in your voice.
It would be illogical for a Vulcan to show anger. It would be illogical. 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 Illogical.
Yeah, so I think Sarek even like he has to admit, that wasn't good.
That is such a great performance. Like that's heart-wrenching. That scene is really sad, really hard to watch, I find.
Very sad, because he is this character that we know. Like, I think that you're right that it wouldn't have hit as hard if he had been this brand new character we never met. Even if it had been Mark Leonard playing some new Vulcan, or an actor of equal ability. I don't think it would matter, right? I think the fact that we have this attachment as Star Trek fans to Sarek, makes it, he's almost like.
So what we were talking about earlier, seeing characters that we love growing old, and the fact that it is an allegory for, dementia or senility, aging. It's sad. It's a really great performance and a great script.
Yeah. We see later on Picard contemplating like this respect he has, and Wayne, like this respect and this compassion he has for Sarek, and yet, he has a mission to carry out. He's the captain of the ship, and there's other factors involved, and he's like, let's postpone the conference or something. And apparently it had been negotiated for weeks and months, and it can't be done. And it's Picard's in a tough spot, but then Perrin comes to see Picard in the ready room, and they talk. And this is basically where she proposes the solution that Sarek might be able to get through this mission with the help of one thing, which is a mind meld. Which is then we get this transition to Picard now presenting this idea to Sarek, and Sarek is saying, well, that he acknowledges the logic that it could work, but the risk to Picard is great. Him being a human and him trying to absorb these Vulcan emotions would be very difficult, overwhelming. Picard says, like, I know the risks, but I think this is what it's going to take. And I don't know. Sarek has some great line here about like your courage honors me or something like that. But it's I really enjoyed like these two are very interesting to me because compared to Kirk, who is so different than Vulcans, there is almost like a Vulcan quality to Picard, and I think there's this kindred spirit.
I think it's sort of discipline. Like Picard has always been a disciplined captain. I mean, he'll follow the rules, but he doesn't break them necessarily unless he's completely sure.
Right. Well, young Picard was one thing, but older Picard is another, right? Like when he was fighting Nausicaans and getting stabbed through the heart, he was maybe a little less disciplined. Then in the quarters, where they're going to do this mind meld, Picard with Beverly Crusher, who's here to sort of supervise. She doesn't like this idea.
Didn't like it at all.
Didn't like it at all, but she didn't protest that hard, really. So it was.
She's like, "What is he going to tell me?"
I get to see like every time in Voyager that the EMH was like, Tuvok, you can't do another mind meld, but Tuvok would do them all the time. Anyway, this is where we go. Anyway, so we get into the mind meld, my mind to your mind. And we had seen this many times in Star Trek, but what I guess maybe they had done this before where like it's like, Patrick Stewart has his eyes closed. And as we're going here, we see that he just kind of like, he has his eyes closed and all of a sudden he like opens them like with this kind of like, whoa, kind of thing. And then we cut away from that. Yeah. Arriving at the green planet where the Lagarans live, and then on the bridge we see Riker in command, and then we hear he says,
"Don't worry, number one."
Sarek says "number one" to Riker, showing like the effect of the mind meld and how much of Picard is now in Sarek. From this affair, we see Riker and Sarek walking and talking here through the corridors. Again, he calls him number one once or twice, and says, "Don't worry." But then by the end of the conversation, Riker says, "Well, how's the captain doing? How's Captain Picard doing?" He's like, "He's fine. Don't worry about it." Well, he doesn't quite say that, but meanwhile, Picard.
No!
It is wrong. It is wrong. A lifetime of discipline washed away, and in its place, bedlam. Bedlam. I'm so old. There is nothing left but dry bones, dead friends.
This is only part of it.
Oh, so tired.
It will pass, all of it. Just another hour or so. You're doing fine. Just hold on.
No. This weakness disgusts me. I hate it. Where is my logic? I'm betrayed by desires.
Anyway, it goes. That was part 1 of 3 clips I pulled, but it goes on, and it's just this. It's just Patrick Stewart in the dark with Gates McFadden, like just kind of losing his mind. Great performance. It's shot.
Such a great performance. Stargazer Fish says, "I act like this after my sports teams lose."
It's like we all felt after the Olympics
and the Blue Jays.
That was me after the Briar.
Yeah, the Briar. It's a lot of that going around lately. It seems like.
Yeah.
Anyway, Patrick Stewart. Forget single tier. He's going all the tiers.
Double tier.
Yeah. There's even parts where he's talking about like his relationship with Spock, and everything else, and it's crazy, right? Anyway, so Gates McFadden, Dr. Beverly Crusher, good doctor and friend throughout this, trying to help Picard through it as best she can. But Picard had a rough day, like for this mind meld.
Yeah, that was tough.
That was a tough one. He took one for the team, really did. Anyway, then there's a transition later. It's like time for everyone to leave. Picard now is back in his dress uniform. Like I mentioned, they got these red shirts in the background. What they're meant to do here, no one knows. They're meant to fight those blue shirts and yellow shirts that were stealing their table in 10 Forward from earlier. But there's some goodbyes. When he's saying goodbye to Perrin, he's like, "You should know, he's really loves you and everything." And even though he's a cold Vulcan who doesn't show it, and she's like, "Yeah, I know, it's all good."
She's like, "I know, it's my husband.
I married him."
We forgot to talk about. Isn't there a scene in the beginning where she connects with Patrick Stewart, Picard, because he understands the whole logically. You don't have to be all emotional to know this.
Well, yeah, like why was Picard chosen for the mind meld over the Vulcan guy or anybody else for that matter, right? But Picard having this cool, calm control, but also lots of diplomatic experience, I think made him the ideal choice. And then there's like the good.
He offered.
He did offer. Well, it was Perrin's idea, but why did Perrin think of Picard, right? I guess this establishing he was making some eyes at me earlier. I think he'd be the guy. Anyway. So Sarek and Picard say goodbye to each other. Nice little respectful peace and long life, live long and prosper exchange here. I like he's like, "I'll never see you again, Picard. This is our last meeting," But we'll both. But he says something like, "We'll both have the best part of each other with each other from now on." They actually.
Like, what do you mean? I just went through like hell.
I just went through hell. You got a much better end of the deal there. You're right there, Heather.
Yeah, my cat. It was Bob Seger. He was too upset about this episode. He ran away.
Yeah, I get it. So anyway, Sarek and the group leave, and I don't know. There's just we kind of linger here on Patrick Stewart's face for the last shot of the episode before we kind of head into credits. And that Picard maybe a changed man from this experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is my time for sexy fun facts.
Sexy fun facts with Adam. They're fun and they're sexy.
Sexy fun facts.
Sexy fun facts.
Facts are so sexy.
Okay, so Justin, you said it. The original script had another ambassador, but the writers decided to use Sarek to bring home the idea that even the greatest man is subject to mental illness. So I'd like to just say on that note too, like this is 1990. This mental illness was not really still discussed. So this is a big step in I think, and again, it shows how good Star Trek was at bringing issues forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely, because there have been many episodes in many other TV shows like this, but this is an early example, or at least one I can recall ever watching.
Yeah, and to speak to that point, we have a comment from EJR87R. This is an episode I wouldn't want modern Trek to do because they will take it too far. This episode addresses the issue, but knows how to not go too far and hit you over the head.
Well, I think there is some truth to that, like that some of the, I guess the modern storytelling can be a little bit on the nose and there's less of the metaphor, less of the allegory sometimes. Although this one's pretty obvious.
To be fair, old Trek was also quite heavy-handed with the allegory, like that let this be your last battlefield, Sela, but
yeah. I guess it's the way there's that, but there's also just how they describe it in dialogue, and
yeah.
Okay, Picard's crumbling emotions mirroring Sarek's internal turmoil echoes a similar scene of Spock in The Naked Time, even down to the single take being used.
Forget about that one. The Naked Time.
So remember Naked Time was sort of like the prelude to Naked Now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember the episode. I remember like Spock gets drunk, but I don't really. I guess he did lose emotional control in that episode.
And that was like the first episode where you saw that. Director Les Landau filmed Picard's outburst while moving the camera around from him starting on the left to the right. Because the shot was filmed several times in a single take, Picard had to do the heavy emotional scene several times equally as well. So he nailed it.
Wow. This
was the first time a mind meld was ever done in Next Gen.
Makes sense. We haven't had too many Vulcans come through yet.
Yeah. It is revealed that the Corridan successfully joined the Federation after the events of Journey to Babel, thanks to Sarek's support.
Right, yeah, because that's what Journey to Babel is all about. Will Corridon be admitted to the Federation? And then they're like, in the dialogue, yeah, remember when he got Corridon into the Federation? Like 100 years ago?
Yep.
That was good.
Sarek introduces Perrin to Captain Picard and Commander Riker as she who is my wife. In Journey to Babel, he introduced his first wife and Spock's mother, Amanda, to Captain Kirk and Dr. McCoy exactly the same way.
Yes.
The exchange we come to serve and your service honors us is also from that episode.
One thing I did note, because I watched both episodes tonight, in Journey to Babel, Amanda and Spock were doing like this hand touching thing every time they were together. And I would have liked to see them repeat that with Perrin. But also I was thinking that may just be something that they as a couple did. And that's why he didn't do it with Perrin also, like rather than it being a ritual Vulcan thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I do remember Spock and not Spock, Tuvok was doing that with like his holographic wife in Voyager, so I don't know. Maybe it is a Vulcan thing, but maybe that was him and Amanda's thing too, for all we know. Like to your point. Is this camera AI, Adam? It likes to zoom in on you sometimes.
I don't know why it's doing this. This is
all right.
I don't use this laptop for this usually.
It's because your hair looks really good, so it wanted to zoom in.
It was like, let's get it. What product is he using in the camera?
Sarek is 202 in this episode, exactly 100 years after Journey to Babel. And the alternate title was called Sarek's Finest Hour.
That's a terrible title.
Yeah,
I agree. I thought they didn't do it. Jane Wyatt, who plays Spock's mother and Sarek's first wife, Amanda Grayson, in the original series, was still alive during this production, but not asked to reprise her role.
Well, I kind of get it because, like,
Well, she
as a
would be
human,
160 years old.
Yeah.
Like how old was she in Journey to Babel? Like old enough to be Spock's mom, so she'd have to at least be in her 50s, right? By that point, because Spock was in his 30s.
Yeah,
and again, yeah, like Sarek rather. Sarek was 100 years old, so he was like 60 years older than Amanda. But on the other hand, T'Pol was like 60 years older than Trip, and they got down.
The older woman, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, this is written as an allegory for the aging and degenerative illnesses. Sarek serves as an emotional metaphor for conditions like Alzheimer's and dementia. Writers have often openly said they wanted to explore how brilliant minds deal with the inevitable decline and show the burden that is also placed on the loved ones. Patrick Stewart's dramatic mind meld scene was intentionally written to convey the heartbreak of losing oneself. Now, again, I think it just...
Yeah, well, then that was the intent. They succeeded.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Roddenberry, I think Justin brought this up. Roddenberry was initially opposed to bringing original series cast members in, but Sarek's story was considered so strong that he approved bringing Mark Leonard back. This opened the door for Spock's appearance in later seasons.
Well, and it makes sense if you're going to bring back characters from the original series, bring back Vulcan ones who have a plausible reason to still be alive and still be active at this time. You know, it made a lot more sense.
Yeah. Leonard, who played Sarek in the original series, reportedly said this was one of his most richest, most emotional roles he'd ever been given in Star Trek. Yes. It allowed him to play Sarek in a new way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it adds to his whole story, you know, the legend of Sarek.
Yeah.
Apparently, there was feuding crew scenes that were much longer and funnier. There was an escalation in the bar with Riker and Worf fighting.
Oh yeah, well, that could have been fun. I every time they started yelling at each other, I was amused. I gotta tell you.
The chamber music that wasn't just set dressing. Stewart personally loved that episode, incorporating the formal artistic elements. He even helped shape some of the scene's emotional tone.
You like the concert scene? Is that the one you mean? Or
okay. This was a turning point in, well, of course, with Sarek, but really, again, for me, and I think this is echoing here in this comment, Star Trek could provide such a deep and emotionally charged storytelling event. They did a great job with this one.
Yeah.
Just a couple little things here. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure it. The mind meld scene was so intense and raw that the set was reportedly went silent. Several crew members said Stewart's performance left them visibly shaken, and the director allowed the takes to run long because they were so powerful.
Wow. And you get fired as a director unless you shoot so many pages a day.
Well, especially in those 26 season episodes, or 26 episode seasons, pardon me. I think I'll leave it there. That's a good way to end.
Right. Well, I just final one here. I saw it from, I don't think you said this one here, but Michael Piller later said about this episode that this was the breakthrough which allowed them to open the doors, that allowed them to begin to like embrace the past, like the original series, like those original series movies, and not have to be like so worried about establishing themselves as their own thing, which they definitely were.
That makes sense because at this point the show was a huge hit. They're almost at the end of season 3. It's got its own identity. It's got its own audience, and they didn't have to, as you said, keep things so rigidly separate by them.
For sure. Okay, well, with that said, Justin, do you feel like it's time for ratings?
I think it could be.
All right, let's do it. It's time for ratings.
Ratings, sexy fun ratings.
Not
score
quite
it out.
as sexy as facts, but still sexy.
It's funny that we're making everything sexy tonight in what may be one of the least sexy episodes. Of Star Trek.
Well, fair enough. But you know,
Can we just talk about this though? Because I went back and watched Journey to Babel, and anyone who follows this channel will know that I have watched exactly 2 episodes of the original series. Was the second one, and can I just say, Nichelle Nichols as Uhura is unbelievably gorgeous. What a presence. And she just, oh God, I love her. And Majel Barrett as Nurse Chapel, that's the first time I've seen her like in an episode. My God, what an attractive woman.
Yeah, well,
Good
Gene Roddenberry
gracious.
would agree.
Yeah, exactly. And the skirt, okay, I could see her cheeks. I could see her cheeks peeping out in the sick bay. Okay.
Well, just watch the Mirror Universe episode. You can see Nichelle Nichols' abs and everything else.
I've seen it.
The whole, actually, you would probably love the whole series because the costuming is amazing.
Yeah.
Like some amazing dresses and outfits and things that they wear in that original series.
Except what's the one with the hippies?
The Way to Eden.
Yeah, don't watch that one.
Yeah.
No,
it's fun.
Is it the one with the dog and the wig? That's my favorite.
No, it's a different one.
Okay. Anyway, let's do our ratings. I got carried away by the beauty of Nichelle Nichols and Majel Barrett.
Of course. Who eyes do I? But Justin, you're up.
I'm going to give this one a 9.5.
Wow. Okay, 9.5 coming in from Justin. All right, Heather.
Yeah, this is a 9 for me.
Okay, and Adam, you said this was in your top 10. Let's see if that holds true.
For me. All of my top 10 get a 10, and this just proves to good storytelling doesn't need battles and big, other than bar brawls, but big battles and fights and stuff like this. This is just a great story, and again, you let Picard shine, or Patrick Stewart shine, and Mark Leonard shine.
Yeah, and I don't know, like there was that whole scene where Picard's going on and on. I started crying, man. Like, so if you make me cry, that's at least a 9. So I'm going 9.
Stargazer Fish says 8 out of 10. Sam said 9 earlier. Anybody else in the comments would like to chime in with your rating? I think we can all agree it's a terrific episode, really.
For an episode that's basically a bottle episode, it's all talking in there's no spectacle really at all.
The costumes, did we get a fun fact if they won anything for the costumes in this show? Because
there was
Sarek
no comment on that, but I like when you go back to the original series again, the costuming then versus Next Generation. Next Generation is very beige. There's not a lot of real great costuming.
It was the 80s and 90s, but Sarek alone wore 4 different outfits.
Yeah, but
I think he wore one outfit and he was just taking off layers every time.
Oh yeah, maybe.
All robes.
So we're averaging a 9.4 tonight between the 4 of us. That's pretty good. This episode on IMDb currently has an 8.1, which is high for IMDb. For IMDb, that's not bad.
Interested in your rating for the most toys.
Most toys would probably get a 9 from me.
All right. Well, the average didn't change. It stayed at 9. So, but he added another 9. But as you can see here, like we basically right now we averaged like a 6 out of 10 on season 1. We're basically a 7 out of 10 on season 2, and now we're well over 8 out of 10 for season 3.
Well, season 3 is where they hit their stride. I mean, there's a handful of episodes that I'm like, this is not my favorite, but it's still pretty good. But for the most part, season 3 is bangers.
Absolutely. And as we look ahead for yet another season 3 episode, we will be covering next. It is called Menage a Troy.
Guess who's back?
Luxana Troy.
Xanthe fever.
That's right. She's bringing it.
No,
Look at Riker. Look at Riker's outfit there. I can't wait to get into this episode. I'm such a fan of Lwaxana. They always bring out the wiggery, the drapery, the clothing, the hair, the ears, the everything. I can't wait. I love it. It's a great
All right,
episode.
as I just said, there's very little color in this, but now this one makes me a liar.
Wasn't
They
Adam
spend
wearing
it all on Lwaxana Troy.
Wasn't
Justin,
Adam wearing
I
that
was
shirt
color
earlier?
tonight.
Adam was wearing that before, but he took it off.
Yes. But he took it off because he didn't want to get wrinkled for when he takes Sam to the prom.
Yes.
Exactly.
So happy for you guys.
Well, thanks.
A
Little
success
Sam.
story on the pod.
So yeah, next week we have with Menage a Troy. It looks like we have Marcel, Jane, and Heather up for that one. So look out for that crew. You have to drink before watching this episode. All right. Now check out our other great podcasts here on Live Long and Podcasts every Thursday. Well, I guess this will be the final Thursday that we'll be doing Star Trek Starfleet Academy. The newest episode, where is it? Here it is. It's going to be called the finale for season 1. It's called Reuben Khan. I think I'm saying that right. So check that out this Thursday. I will be on with the crew.
Put that back up. Ugh, Admiral Daddy. I love him.
The beard is getting very Grizzly
He's not
Adams.
Admiral Daddy. That's Genesis.
Yeah. Well, that's Genesis. That's true. Also, what else? We're coming back for All Mankind, season 5, hitting soon. Season 5, episode 1, titled First Light. Look out for that.
Is this the Mars baby?
This is Mars Baby. This is he's grown up. He's grown up.
Dave, we're extremely close to the Artemis launch at this date as well when this comes out. So.
But will they come back alive when that heat shield does or doesn't fail? We're gonna see. But this is the other shot from the newest season. For All Mankind.
Wow.
Look at Baldwin.
Good Lord. Let's go back to the 60s.
Yes.
Is he like back on Earth wearing a uniform now?
I think he's still on Mars. But I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna see. This is like the poster they put out today for the new season. I thought this looked pretty good too.
Oh my God! Is it Mars motorbikes now? Are they going 4-wheeling? Are they going on trikes and bikes?
Mm-hmm.
Sabotage. Trikes and bikes.
Yeah, all of that. So look out for that. We're coming back very soon. March 27th, I guess, is the first episode. So we still got a couple weeks, but we'll be doing that very soon. Also on our other sister channel, or brother channel maybe, Super Mater Brothers podcast. Every Wednesday, we're covering a new episode of Survivor. We'll be on this Wednesday, talking about episode 3. Did you vote for a swap? It's pretty good season so far. Watch out for Joe and the Bug Guys. All right. And with that, we'll leave you with some more Picard ranting into a dark room. And we'll see you next time here on Live Long and Podcast. Have a great one, everyone. Thanks to the whole panel.
Beverly,
I'm here, Shonda. I'm not going anywhere.
it's quite difficult. The anguish of the man. Despair. Pouring out of him all those feelings. The regrets. I can't stop them. I can't stop them. I can't.
Don't even try.
No. See you next time, everyone. Good night.
Beam up some Star Trek content.
Play.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And take a peek into the darkness with Heard Noise. Must Investigate with Michael Chan. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.